In the vast expanse of the sky, where dreams take flight, lies an unsettling truth. 8 passenger flights that vanished without a trace, leaving behind a void of unanswered questions. Malaysian Airlines Flight MH370, Air France Flight AF447, Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 2501, Canadian Pacific Airlines Flight 108, British South American Airways Star Ariel, British South American Airways Star Tiger. From the depths of the ocean to the vast wilderness, the searches yielded no definitive answers. The wreckage, the passengers, the truth, lost in a vast sea of uncertainty. Theories abound, but without tangible evidence, speculation is all we have. Join us as we delve into these unsolved mysteries, seeking to shed light on the darkest corners of aviation history. On January 30, 1948, British South American Airways Flight Star Tiger, a Avro Tudor 4 aircraft, departed from Santa Maria in the Azores, a group of Portuguese islands, bound for Bermuda. The flight was carrying 25 passengers and 6 crew members. Flight Star Tiger was a scheduled route connecting South America to Europe. The aircraft, captained by Captain Brian W. McMillan, was expected to make a stopover in Bermuda before continuing to its final destination, London, England. The flight proceeded normally until it approached its destination. However, as Flight Star Tiger neared Bermuda, it encountered adverse weather conditions, including heavy rain and strong winds. The aircraft transmitted a routine position report at around 3:15 a.m. to Bermuda's Kindley Field, indicating that it was approximately 90 miles away and expected to arrive in 10 minutes. Tragically, Flight Star Tiger never arrived at its destination. Despite an extensive search and rescue operation involving aircraft, ships, and submarines, no trace of the aircraft or its occupants was found. The disappearance of Flight Star Tiger sparked significant speculation and theories about its fate. Some theories suggested that the aircraft may have encountered severe weather conditions, resulting in an accident. Others speculated that there may have been a navigational error, leading to the aircraft veering off course and crashing into the Atlantic Ocean. The lack of concrete evidence made it challenging to determine the exact cause of the disappearance. Over time, the incident became known as one of the Bermuda Triangle mysteries, as the flight vanished in the region known for unexplained disappearances of aircraft and ships. The loss of Flight Star Tiger, along with subsequent incidents involving British South American Airways, raised concerns about the safety of the Avro Tudor 4 aircraft. Investigations into these accidents revealed issues with the aircraft's design, including insufficient structural strength and problems with the de-icing system. The tragic events involving British South American Airways flights, including Flight Star Tiger, prompted improvements in aviation safety. They led to enhanced aircraft design and structural improvements, as well as advancements in weather forecasting, communication systems, and search and rescue procedures. On January 17, 1949, British South American Airways Flight Star Ariel, a Avro Tudor 4 aircraft, embarked on a flight from Bermuda to Kingston, Jamaica. The plane, carrying 13 passengers and 7 crew members, was operated by British South American Airways, BSAA. The flight departed Bermuda's Kindley Field in the evening, with the intention of reaching Kingston's Palisadoes Airport. However, shortly after takeoff, the flight encountered adverse weather conditions, including heavy rain and strong winds. As Flight Star Ariel approached the area known as the Old Bahama Channel, it encountered severe turbulence and radioed a distress signal indicating its difficulties. Unfortunately, due to the poor visibility and communication issues caused by the storm, the exact nature of the problems aboard the aircraft was never fully communicated. The last known radio transmission from the flight indicated that it was experiencing severe icing and was losing altitude rapidly. Search and rescue efforts were immediately deployed, but despite extensive search operations, no wreckage or survivors were found. The disappearance of flight star Ariel prompted a thorough investigation to determine the cause. It was later concluded that the aircraft likely experienced structural failure due to severe icing. The AF447, 4, in particular, had known issues with its de-icing equipment, which may have contributed to the icing problem. The loss of flight star Ariel was a significant blow to British South American Airways, as it was the third major accident involving the company in a span of just 4 months. The previous accidents had already raised concerns about the safety of the AF447, 4 aircraft and the airline's operations. The tragedy spurred improvements in aviation safety, leading to advancements in aircraft design, de-icing technology, and weather forecasting. It also highlighted the importance of effective communication during emergencies and the need for thorough inspections and maintenance of aircraft. On June 23, 1950, Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 2501, a Douglas DC-4 aircraft, departed from New York City's LaGuardia Airport for its scheduled flight to Minneapolis, Minnesota. The flight was carrying 55 passengers and 3 crew members. The aircraft, commanded by Captain Robert C. Lind, was operating on a popular route, and everything appeared normal as it ascended into the skies. However, as Flight 2501 flew over Lake Michigan, it encountered severe weather conditions, including thunderstorms and heavy rain. At around 11:37 p.m., the crew radioed air traffic control to report their descent from 3,500 feet to 2,500 feet due to the stormy conditions. This was the last communication from the aircraft. Shortly after, Flight 2501 disappeared from radar screens, and all contact with the aircraft was lost. News of the missing plane spread quickly, and an extensive search and rescue operation was launched to locate the wreckage and any survivors. The U.S. Coast Guard, Navy, and Air Force, along with civilian vessels, participated in the search effort. Despite the dedicated search, no sign of Flight 2501 or its occupants was found initially. It wasn't until several days later that debris from the aircraft, including life jackets and seat cushions, began washing ashore along the eastern coast of Lake Michigan. The recovery efforts continued for weeks, but the main wreckage of the aircraft remained elusive. The exact cause of the crash and the fate of the passengers and crew remained a mystery for a considerable period. In the aftermath of the tragedy, investigations were conducted to determine the possible reasons for the crash. It was speculated that severe weather conditions, including lightning strikes and turbulence, might have played a significant role. However, without the recovery of the main wreckage, it was challenging to establish a definitive cause. To this day, Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 2501 remains one of the deadliest aviation accidents in U.S. history without a conclusive resolution. The loss of the aircraft and the lives aboard serve as a haunting reminder of the risks inherent in aviation, particularly when faced with severe weather conditions. On July 21, 1951, Canadian Pacific Airlines Flight 108, a Douglas DC-4 aircraft, departed from Vancouver, Canada, on a flight to Tokyo, Japan, as part of the Korean airlift effort. The aircraft was carrying 31 passengers and a 6-person crew, including both civilian passengers and military personnel. During the flight, as the aircraft approached Anchorage, Alaska, for a refueling stop, it encountered challenging weather conditions. rain, low visibility, and icing were reported in the area. Despite the adverse weather, the crew did not report any issues or distress signals as they checked in near the Alaskan Panhandle, approximately 90 minutes away from their intended destination. Tragically, the aircraft never arrived at its destination, and subsequent attempts to establish communication with the flight were unsuccessful. Concerns grew as hours passed without any word from Flight 108. A search and rescue operation was launched by American and Canadian authorities to locate the missing aircraft. For several months, search teams scoured the area in and around the Alaskan Panhandle, hoping to find any traces of the wreckage. Despite extensive efforts, no remnants of the aircraft or any signs of the passengers and crew were discovered. The disappearance of Canadian Pacific Airlines Flight 108 remains a mystery to this day. The exact circumstances surrounding the incident and the fate of those on board remain unknown. The loss of Flight 108 is a somber reminder of the risks and uncertainties inherent in aviation and the dedication of search and rescue teams who tirelessly strive to find answers in such tragedies. On November 8, 1957, Pan Am Flight 7, a Boeing 377 Stratocruiser named Clipper Romance of the Skies, departed from San Francisco International Airport on a scheduled flight to Honolulu, Hawaii, with further destinations planned in the Pacific. The aircraft, carrying 36 passengers and 8 crew members, took off in the late afternoon and climbed into the skies above the Pacific Ocean. Everything appeared normal as the flight cruised at its designated altitude, heading towards its first stop in Honolulu. However, as Flight 7 approached the halfway point of its journey, approximately 1,600 miles northeast of Honolulu, tragedy struck. The crew sent a routine position report, but it would be the last communication received from the aircraft. Unbeknownst to those on the ground, the Boeing 377 Stratocruiser encountered severe turbulence and experienced a catastrophic event. It is believed that the aircraft encountered a powerful thunderstorm or microburst, which caused severe structural damage and led to the loss of control. The crew's attempts to regain control of the aircraft were unsuccessful, and Flight 7 plummeted towards the ocean. The impact with the water was devastating, and there were no survivors among the passengers or crew. News of the tragedy sent shockwaves through the aviation community and the public. The loss of Pan Am Flight 7 marked one of the deadliest accidents in commercial aviation history at that time. A search and recovery operation was launched to locate the wreckage and recover any possible remains or debris. However, due to the remote location of the crash site and the depth of the ocean, much of the aircraft and its contents were never found. The investigation into the crash of Flight 7 focused on analyzing available data, including weather reports and witness accounts, to understand the events leading up to the disaster. It was determined that the aircraft had encountered severe turbulence and structural failure, possibly exacerbated by the intense weather conditions. The tragedy of Pan Am Flight 7 led to advancements in aviation safety, particularly in the areas of weather forecasting and aircraft design. It served as a reminder of the inherent risks involved in aviation and the importance of ongoing efforts to enhance safety measures. On the evening of March 15, 1962, Flying Tiger Line Flight 739, a Lockheed L-1049 Super Constellation, departed from Travis Air Force Base in California, USA. The military-chartered flight was en route to its final destination, Clark Air Base in the Philippines, with a planned stopover in Guam. The aircraft was carrying 93 U.S. Army personnel, primarily servicemen who had completed their tours of duty in South Vietnam, along with 3 civilian crew members. The flight proceeded smoothly, with the passengers and crew settling in for the journey across the Pacific Ocean. However, as Flight 739 approached the midpoint of its flight, passing over the western Pacific Ocean, communication with the aircraft suddenly ceased. Air traffic control lost contact with the flight, and it became clear that something had gone terribly wrong. A massive search and rescue operation was launched to locate the missing aircraft. The U.S. military deployed ships, aircraft, and submarines to scour the vast expanse of the ocean. Multiple nations, including the United States, Australia, and New Zealand, joined forces in the search effort. Despite the extensive search operations, no wreckage or survivors were ever found. The fate of Flight 739 and its 96 occupants remained a tragic mystery. The disappearance of the aircraft and the unanswered questions surrounding it added to the anguish experienced by the families and friends of those on board. Various theories emerged to explain the disappearance of Flight 739. Some suggested that the aircraft may have suffered a mid-air explosion, while others proposed the possibility of structural failure. However, without any concrete evidence, the cause of the crash remains unknown. The incident sparked discussions on aviation safety and led to improvements in aircraft tracking systems and search and rescue procedures. It also raised concerns about the risks associated with military-chartered flights and the safety of servicemen and women traveling to and from conflict zones. On the early morning of March 8, 2014, Malaysian Airlines Flight MH370 departed from Kuala Lumpur International Airport, bound for Beijing Capital International Airport. The Boeing 777-200ER aircraft was carrying 239 passengers and crew members from various countries. As the flight climbed to its cruising altitude, everything appeared normal. Passengers settled into their seats, flight attendants attended to their duties, and the aircraft flew over the South China Sea. Little did anyone know that this would be the beginning of one of the most mystifying aviation mysteries in history. Approximately 40 minutes after takeoff, as the aircraft crossed into Vietnamese airspace, it abruptly disappeared from radar screens. Air traffic control in both Malaysia and Vietnam were alarmed by the sudden loss of contact and initiated search and rescue efforts. In the days that followed, it became clear that Flight MH370 had deviated from its intended flight path. Satellite data and analysis indicated that the aircraft had made a sharp turn to the west and then continued on a southward trajectory, flying over the vast expanse of the Indian Ocean. An unprecedented multinational search operation was launched, covering an area of millions of square kilometers across the Indian Ocean. Ships, aircraft, and submarines from various countries, including Malaysia, Australia, China, and the United States, scoured the ocean's surface and depths for any sign of the missing plane. Despite the extensive search efforts, no wreckage or definitive trace of Flight MH370 was found for several years. However, in July 2015, a piece of debris known as a flaperon was discovered on Reunion Island in the western Indian Ocean. Subsequent discoveries of additional debris, including wing fragments and personal items, further confirmed that the plane had crashed in the southern Indian Ocean. The search operation became one of the largest and most complex in aviation history, lasting over 4 years. The investigation focused on analyzing satellite communication data, studying the recovered debris, and conducting underwater search operations using specialized equipment. Numerous theories emerged to explain the disappearance of MH370, ranging from mechanical failures to deliberate actions by someone on board. The possibility of deliberate human intervention, such as pilot hijacking or suicide, gained significant attention. However, no conclusive evidence or motive has been established to support any theory. The disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 remains an enigma, leaving the families of the passengers and crew members in a state of uncertainty and grief. The incident sparked discussions on aviation safety, aircraft tracking systems, and the need for improved communication protocols in the event of such incidents. Egyptair Flight 804 took off from Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris on the evening of May 19, 2016. The Airbus A320 was bound for Cairo, carrying 56 passengers and 10 crew members. Among the passengers were individuals from various nationalities, including Egyptians, French, and other international travelers. As the aircraft descended into the night sky, everything seemed routine. The passengers settled into their seats, the crew members carried out their duties, and the aircraft cruised at its designated altitude. The calmness that enveloped the cabin would soon give way to sheer confusion and concern. Approximately 3.5 hours into the flight, as the plane approached Egyptian airspace over the Mediterranean Sea, it suddenly disappeared from radar screens. Air traffic controllers in Athens, Greece, who were responsible for the aircraft's handover to Cairo, noticed the abrupt loss of communication and alerted their Egyptian counterparts. An intense search and rescue operation was immediately launched, focusing on the waters where the plane vanished. Ships and aircraft from various countries, including Egypt, Greece, France, and the United States, joined forces in the search effort. Days turned into weeks, and hope dwindled as no significant wreckage or survivors were found. However, small pieces of debris, personal belongings, and human remains began washing up on the shores of the Mediterranean, confirming the tragic fate of Egyptair Flight 804. It became apparent that the aircraft had crashed into the sea, claiming the lives of all 66 people on board. The investigation into the disappearance of Flight 804 was led by the Egyptian authorities, supported by international aviation experts. The search for answers focused on examining the recovered debris, analyzing the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder, commonly known as the black boxes, and conducting comprehensive forensic examinations. Various theories emerged during the investigation, including the possibility of terrorism, technical failures, or a combination of factors. However, despite extensive efforts, a definitive cause for the crash of Egyptair Flight 804 has not been determined to this day. The tragedy of Flight 804 shook the aviation industry and renewed discussions on aviation safety and security measures. It served as a somber reminder of the vulnerabilities and uncertainties that can be faced in the realm of air travel. The memory of Egyptair Flight 804 and the lives lost aboard the ill-fated aircraft remain etched in the hearts of their families, friends, and the global aviation community. The mystery surrounding its disappearance continues to haunt those seeking closure and a clearer understanding of what transpired on that fateful night over the Mediterranean Sea. The unsolved mysteries surrounding the disappearances of 8 passenger flights have left a lingering sense of intrigue and sadness in the annals of aviation history. These incidents, characterized by the unexplained vanishing of aircraft and the absence of concrete evidence, continue to captivate the public's imagination and fuel speculation about their causes. Among these notable cases are Malaysian Airlines Flight MH370, which disappeared in 2014 while en route from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, and Air France Flight AF447, which vanished in 2009 during a flight from Rio de Janeiro to Paris. Both incidents involved extensive search efforts, but the main wreckage and definitive answers remain elusive. Similarly, the disappearances of Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 2501 in 1950, Canadian Pacific Airlines Flight 108 in 1951, British South American Airways Star Ariel in 1949, and British South American Airways Star Tiger in 1948, have left investigators and loved ones without closure. Despite significant search and rescue operations, no wreckage or remains have been found. These unsolved mysteries have sparked numerous theories, ranging from severe weather conditions and structural failures to navigational errors, and even paranormal or extraterrestrial explanations. The lack of concrete evidence and the absence of survivors or witnesses have made it challenging to conclusively determine the causes of these disappearances. However, these tragedies have not been in vain. They have prompted significant advancements in aviation safety, including improvements in aircraft design, weather forecasting technology, communication systems, and search and rescue protocols. Lessons learned from these incidents have contributed to enhancing the safety of future flights and preventing similar tragedies. The memories of those who boarded these flights, along with the grief of their families and friends, persist. While the mysteries remain unsolved, the aviation industry continues to strive for answers and solutions to prevent such disappearances from occurring in the future. As time goes on, new technologies, further investigations, and the relentless pursuit of knowledge may eventually shed light on these unsolved mysteries. Until then, they serve as poignant reminders of the ever-present risks faced in aviation and the ongoing efforts to ensure the safety and security of air travel.